now for the main event. How did Orion RLT come to be? Once this is for both of you. How did you get the idea? Like, how did it all begin?
Okay. I first came across red light therapy in December of 2019.
Right.
And it just kind of came to my attention, you know, as a S&C coach, I'm always on the lookout for different modalities of recovery and always trying to stay on top of, you know, trends and whatnot.
Right.
And so I came across red light therapy through a coach that I was following, and it really intrigued me. I looked deeper into it. The research looked really compelling.
Okay.
And I found that a lot of coaches around the world and teams around the world were using red light therapy for recovery. I was like, okay, this is cool, right? Something potentially my athletes could use, right? I ended up buying a device myself, right? Because I'm always gonna try something before I recommend it to my athletes, whether it's an exercise or something like red light therapy, right? I bought the device, used it on myself, and I was like, okay, there's something here. Like, this is pretty cool, right?
Did you get burned?
No, man, no. This feels awesome. Like, this is really cool. And then I started asking around, like, other coaches, you know, in the field, like, hey, have you heard of red light therapy? You know, are you using this on your athletes, right? I wanted to like dig deeper, and surprisingly, you know, a lot of people didn't know about it or didn't hear about it, right? Especially here, you know, maybe in a more professional level, perhaps. Anyways, put that aside. I kind of just didn't think too much about that. I ended up going to LA in January, and then, you know, just for vacation, right? Meeting up with a few of my cousins, and they were into e-commerce, right? So they kind of, and then I was really intrigued by that. I was like, what? E-commerce? What's this? Right? Like, it sounded really cool what they were doing, right? So I wanted to learn more, right? And then they said, oh yeah, the health and fitness industry is really hot right now, right? And then they're like, oh, you know, you're a strength coach. Do you know any like cool kind of gadgets, right? And I was like, man, I just bought this red light therapy device, right? And I told them about it, and then they looked it up. They're like, oh, what the hell? Never heard of this before, right? And this could potentially be something, right? So they really like planted a seed in my head, right? And then so I kind of, you know, let that sit for a bit. Went back to Vancouver, and I was like, man, you know, I don't want to be an employee for the rest of my life, right? You know, with the help of my cousins and Matt and a few other people, you know, we started Orion. And we're here now.
That's quite a story. So just like, you just meet up your cousins, like, what's this e-commerce deal? It's like, well, we can put our product online.
Yeah, man.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. So
red light therapy, is that the same device that like some physios would use, like when they're treating pain, like they're going to do your assessment, they're just going to like throw you up on the laser for like 30 minutes. Is that the same thing?
I don't believe so. Are you able to comment on that? I don't think physios are currently using red light therapy in their treatment.
Gotcha.
And if they are using lasers,
I don't think it's very common. Not to the physios that I've reached out to.
Feel free to get as technical or as detailed as you want as you answer this. But what is red light therapy?
I'll jump in on this. So essentially, red light therapy is a natural light, and it's similar to, if you think about sunlight, for example. It's like sunlight makes you feel really good, really energized. It helps energize you similarly to how you need food and water, but light is kind of like nutrients for your cells.
Right. Okay.
That's essentially what it is, to kind of explain it that way.
Okay, cool. Any other?
Yeah, I'll add a little bit to that. So red light therapy is a non-invasive treatment, right? The way it works is you expose yourself, your body, your bare skin to light, you know, anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes every day per body area. Okay, so that's really important, that you're exposing your bare skin and you're in close proximity of the light. The light utilizes two very specific wavelengths or spectrums of light. Red light at 660 nanometers and near infrared light at 850 nanometers. So these two very specific wavelengths of light have been proven through thousands of studies to help increase ATP production in your cells. Essentially, the light acts as a charger for your body, right? And as a result, with increased ATP production, as well with a few other things that we can speak on later on, leads to more specific benefits. So just imagine that your cells are operating at a higher capacity.
So this really helps in terms of the recovery aspect.
And then a lot more.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so recovery is just one of the many benefits.
Really?
Yeah.
What more?
Okay, so there's three main mechanisms of red light therapy. I named one already, which was increased ATP production. ATP just is another word for energy, essentially, for those that don't know what ATP is. Number 2 is decrease oxidative stress. Essentially what that means is red light therapy helps keep your cells healthier so they can live longer, right? In the most simplest form. And number 3 is increased circulation. So those are the 3 main mechanisms of red light therapy, and which stems into or leads to further specific benefits such as better recovery, decreased inflammation, decreased joint pain. Skin health is a huge one. Red light therapy can be found in many facial or beauty salons and boutiques because it helps with increased collagen. And yeah, those are just some of the main benefits. There's also been studies on mental health and cognitive function and degenerative brain diseases such as dementia and Parkinson's.
Would you then directly have that red light?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's a really cool thing. So the red light, because it has a more shorter wavelength, it's more absorbed by the surface of the skin, right? Whereas near infrared light has a longer wavelength of 850 nanometers. It's more readily absorbed by deeper tissues such as your muscle, joints, including your brain. Yeah.
So what are the side effects of RLT?
There really aren't any side effects, but there have been, some cases. I wouldn't really call these side effects, but people who left the light on and they fell asleep, something like that, right? And then they end up getting like a rash or a burn. I would say, like a very light burn. The light doesn't actually give off heat, but it gives off very subtle warmth, right? In order to get a burn, you're gonna have to be exposed to light for hours, and you're gonna have to be at very close proximity to the light.
So note that don't have it on while you're like falling asleep.
Exactly. Yeah, don't do that. And then some other side effects might be, a slight tingly sensation. Again, I wouldn't really call this a side effect per se, but more so as a
sensation.
A sensation you might feel, right? And everyone might feel a little differently, right? Essentially, you go outside and it's like super cold out or hot out, right? Your body, your skin, the hairs on your skin is going to react in a certain way. You might feel some kind of sensation, right? Yeah.
And who would you recommend RLT for?
I would recommend for anyone, really. So anyone who is looking to improve their health and wellness. So that's all inclusive of if it's an athlete looking for recovery, someone who wants to have better skin, or someone who has wounds. So tons and tons of things.
I'm assuming you could definitely put it on like a sprained ankle, but like how about what will be the effect if there's like an open wound?
Yeah. So red light therapy has actually been shown to help increase the recovery process after surgeries. Right. So it's helped with scarring and wounds that you mentioned.
So it doesn't matter if you're an average person, like your everyday person, or an athlete that trains like multiple times a week.
No, light is essential for human longevity and health, right? So it can benefit everyone. And to be more specific, I would recommend it for young adults to the elderly. Children have been exposed to it as well, but man, I'm not going to get my child standing in front of the light. I'm going to tell them to get outside, right? So yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's obviously not a lot of research on that age demographic. So
correct.
How
long would you need to use RLT for like one session?
Anywhere between 5 to 15 minutes. We recommend like daily usage.
Okay.
And ideally, you would use those 5 to 15 minutes on each area of the body. So for example, if you're standing in front of the light, maybe you're just directing the front side for that 5 to 15 minute duration, and then you're turning around another 5 to 15 minute duration.
Gotcha. And what are the pros and cons of using a full body RLT as opposed to what Orion RLT is, which is not full body, but still rather large?
Correct. That's a good question. So with the full body device, you got to be careful of how powerful the LED is. Okay, so you can have a full body device, but it might not necessarily be as powerful, right? Compared to even a smaller device. So, what you want to look for is a powerful LED, preferably 5 wattage, right? But there are some on the market that say maybe 2, 3, or 4 wattage, right? You also want to note the number of LEDs. There are some panels that are a full body, but that have 100 LEDs, right? But there are others that might be able to fit in 300 within the same size panel, if that makes sense. Yeah. You have a LED with a wattage of 5 per se, which is the most highest in the industry currently. if you have one panel that has 100 LEDs times 5, right, you only have 500 watts, right? Whereas if you have 300 LEDs within the same size panel, you now have 1500, right? 300 times 5, right? So that's something that's really important to make note of when you're purchasing a device. The other pros and cons is a bigger device takes up more space, right? It's not as portable, right? You might not want to move it as much, right? You probably want to just leave it in one spot, and cost, right? Whereas with a smaller device, it's portable, it's cheaper. Oh, and sorry, I should mention, if you have a larger device and it is more powerful, then you don't have to spend as long in front of the light, right? So that would be the biggest benefit, right? And then whereas with a smaller device, it's less expensive, more portable, but there's a chance you could find a smaller device that is just as powerful as a larger device.
Gotcha.
So then that time doesn't matter anymore. Yeah.
Great. Is there anything else that you might want to add to let our audience know about RLT?
So I think one thing viewers should know, or anyone who's interested in red light therapy, is that it shouldn't replace other modalities. So for example, if someone's seeking physical therapy and they have, say, a sprained ankle or low back pain, yes, you can use red light therapy. That's going to enhance the recovery process, but that shouldn't replace physical therapy. It's been found that using red light therapy with like a rehabilitation program produces much faster results in the recovery process compared to using the red light therapy device alone or using a rehabilitation program alone.
Gotcha. So it's not, obviously RLT is not something to replace your entire recovery or rehabilitation program, but something to kind of
complement it.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And as always, with anything like this, we always recommend talk with your practitioner first, your physician first, before using anything like this, right? So we always recommend that. Even though there's been so many studies on it, no side effects, we still always recommend speaking to your licensed physician first.
For sure.
Yeah.
Great. And moving on to that, like I know going on to the Orion RLT website, you guys do have a lot of really great links to some great studies and research done on RLT, really up to date. So you can check out Orion RLT at orionrlt.ca. And then do you guys have any other handles? Like where can people follow you and learn more?
You can find us on Instagram at Orion RLT.
For the people listening, you want to spell that out for us?
ORION RLT.
Great.
On a weekly basis, we kind of talk about like a study or what are the benefits. So that's a great place for information for anyone who's interested, or they can head over to our website for more detailed and links to actual studies.
For sure.
And everything that goes on our Instagram goes onto our Facebook page as well.
Gotcha.